What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another very exciting video. In this video, we are going to be talking about Nvidia, as they have just announced their earnings and they came out with some very insane numbers. So what I want to do in this video is I want to go over exactly what they announced. I want to go over what they have announced in the past and how we are seeing the stock trending according to those earnings and revenue numbers. And then I want to go over a little bit with Bitcoin and how Nvidia and Bitcoin are related. And then I want to leave off the video by going over my opinion on Nvidia. Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Is it a hold? And how it could affect stocks that I do currently own. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Let's start off by taking a look at their stock chart. We can see here today, the stock moved up over 3% and then another 6% after hours. If we look at the last 5 days, the stock is up over 7%. Over the last month, it is traded up 5.5%. If we look at the last 6 months, we can see that Nvidia is up over 100%, and year to date we can see that it is up a massive 230%. And from the lows of $112 back in October to where the stock is trading at now, we can see that the stock has moved up over 300%. As we can see here, Nvidia announced their earnings today after hours, and the EPS expectation was $2.09, with revenue expectations coming in at $11.08 billion. And they came in with very solid beats for both of these numbers. EPS came in at $2.70 per share, and revenue came in at $13.5 billion. On top of that, the company gave excellent guidance for third quarter revenue. They are estimating that they will come in at $16 billion in revenue, which is higher than the forecasted amount of $12.61 billion. And the estimate of $16 billion in revenue for the third quarter would equate to 170% growth year over year. And a lot of this tremendous growth is coming from the fact that generative AI technology requires GPUs that Nvidia makes. A lot of A100 and H100 AI chips are being used to run and build AI applications such as OpenAI's ChatGPT. A lot of Nvidia's growth over this quarter comes from the fact that data centers saw a tremendous amount of growth. We saw companies like Alphabet, Amazon, Meta snap up a lot of these next generation processors to help build out their cloud and AI services. This is also one of their highest margin businesses, and because of that, their adjusted gross margin increased 25.3% to 71.2%. Other important things to note from this earnings call is they did see their gaming division revenue increase 22% to $2.49 billion. They saw their high-end graphics card application business shrink 24% year over year to $379 million, but they also authorized $25 billion in share buybacks after the company purchased $3.28 billion in shares this quarter. First thing I wanted to go over a little bit more in depth is their revenue. So we can see that they had their best revenue quarter in April of 2022, where they reported $8.28 billion in revenue. They saw the next quarter them actually peak out for their trailing 12-month revenue, which peaked out at $29.73 billion. However, since then, we have seen a slight decline in revenue down to around $25.8 billion in revenue, which is down 13% year over year. And we can see that actually at the start of this year, they were seeing a decline in revenue year over year of around 21%. One thing I did want to point out with Nvidia is their business does seem to have a certain amount of cyclicality to it. We can see back in 2018, they peaked out their revenue at $12.4 billion. However, they did see a dip where they were actually declining revenue 30% year over year. However, since then, that has increased and they have gone all the way up to almost $30 billion in revenue. And it seems like we saw something over the last few quarters similar to back in 2019, where the revenue began to dip and they're starting to take off in a massive way again. One thing that was going on back in 2019 is the boom of Bitcoin. Bitcoin really started taking off at the end of 2019 and 2020, and we saw the price go absolutely insane when it spiked all the way up to $61,000. And a lot of that encouraged people to buy Nvidia's GPUs to really start processing and mining for Bitcoin. And what we are seeing now is almost something similar. We saw Bitcoin fall off, and if we look year to date, however, Bitcoin is up almost 60%. So it has gone up in a massive way. And oftentimes what you see with Bitcoin is as the price goes up, more people are incentivized to mine. And what that means is more people are buying GPUs GPUs from companies like Nvidia. This is not to say that Nvidia is dependent on the price of Bitcoin, but it does play a factor in how many people are buying Nvidia's GPUs. And we do see a similar trend from EPS numbers. We can see at the end of 2018, they spiked all the way up to $1.88 in trailing 12-month EPS. However, from there, it fell down all the way below $1 in EPS at the end of 2019, but it ran all the way back up even higher than before to $3.85. However, we have seen a pullback again all the way down to $1.74, but it appears that the trend is back going in the right direction, where we could start seeing EPS numbers creeping back up quarter over quarter. And this amazing earnings announcement has not only affected Nvidia's stock, it has also affected other big tech companies. We can see that Alphabet or Google is up almost 1.2% after hours. We can also see that Meta is up 1.9% after hours. And Amazon as well has made a 1% move up after hours. And Microsoft as well up almost 1.7%. And really it makes sense that a lot of these companies are up after hours because of the Nvidia news, because basically what they are talking about is a lot of demand for Nvidia's products, which means there could be a lot of growth moving forward for the big tech industry. The only complaint I've ever had about Nvidia has been their valuation. And right now they're trading at a 58.14 forward PE ratio. And actually with the amount of growth that they are experiencing, this is not a ridiculous PE ratio to pay for this company. So personally, am I adding Nvidia to my portfolio? The answer is no. I think what we're seeing right now could be a little bit priced into the market. We have seen Nvidia move up over 300% from its lows, and the fact that the stock has only moved up 6.8% after hours after a tremendous beat on EPS and revenue numbers is a little bit telling that investors have priced some of this into the company already. However, I am a little bit biased because I was looking at Nvidia last year in the fall when it dropped below $130. I really looked to potentially add a position. However, Meta was falling significantly at the same time. I already had a position in Meta, so I really just averaged down in Meta instead of adding Nvidia as a position. So that makes me a little bit bitter because it has ran up so much this year. So I would love to have been in the stock anywhere below that 150 range because you would be seeing incredible gains right now. But keep in mind, do not buy a company just because some random guy on YouTube talked about it. Make sure you are doing your own research and looking into companies that meet your risk tolerance as well as your time horizon. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day.